Hey guys, welcome to the Bearded Gaming Network. I'm Shane, aka the Bearded One. With me is Random Richard of Riley's Ranting Reviews.
I think I can tell them that.
I'm sorry, but I am the host of this podcast. This is a podcast, by the way. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Bearded Banter Gaming Podcast here on the Bearded Gaming Network. You probably thought, what? You're doing a video podcast? I thought this was just audio. And in your head you probably just exploded because you're stupid. But basically we were just in person today, so we're gonna be doing a video podcast. You know, I thought that would be a good way to start the podcast off, make it a special pilot episode video podcast. This isn't gonna be a regular thing, so don't expect this, every week. Maybe for a few weeks in a row.
It's whenever we get together.
Whenever we get together, we're gonna film a video podcast.
With school coming up and everything, it's gonna be harder to do.
Yeah. Anyway, so welcome to the pilot episode of Bearded Banter. Today we are going to talk about Rareware. And any old school fans of Rareware probably just start shaking their heads like, oh god, why did you bring that up? But basically we're going to talk about Rareware, where the company has gone lately. What happened to them?
They were good in the 90s with N64 games.
Their N64 era was just godly.
Oh man, that was their golden era.
That was their good, and the Super Nintendo with Donkey Kong Country and
Battletoads.
And yeah, I didn't realize that they made Battletoads actually. That was a surprise to me. But basically, we're going to talk about Rareware. A little history around the company. Some memorable moments in some of their amazing games that they put out, and then we're going to talk about the downfall, which it's every gamer's worst memory. So, Rareware. Rareware was founded in 1984, which they reference in a lot of their games. Especially Banjo-Kazooie, they reference that a lot.
And they're from the UK.
They are a British developer. I did not know that until recently when I researched this. So basically, they were founded in 1984 in the NES era. And the first game, the first, big game that they ever made was Battletoads. Anyone who's ever played that game has fond memories of that. You want to talk a little bit about Battletoads? Have you played it, really?
Have you played the two-player mode?
Oh, fuck! That ends friendships right there.
You know what? And Rareware actually made another game that ended friendships just as quickly. GoldenEye 007.
GoldenEye 007. We'll get to that.
My brother lost so many friends because of that game.
So basically, Battletoad basically brought Rareware to the mainstream. It basically got them noticed as this amazing developer, and they just went up from there. So, what do you think about Battletoads before we move on?
Well, if you ignore the fact that it is one of the most crushingly fucking difficult games in existence, it's a really well done game. The graphics are really well done by NES standards. Gameplay's addicting. Two-player mode is addicting until you want to rip your friend's jugular out, but Yeah.
So what I think about Battletoads from what I played, it's I don't even know how to describe the difficulty, but
it's easier than Silver Surfer.
On the NES? Yeah, that was a bitch. But anyway, Battletoads, amazing game, one of the best beat-em-ups ever made. The two-player is fun until you turn on your partner.
You shouldn't be able to kill your own partner in video games!
That should be like an unlock, like an extra mode that you can activate.
Yeah, asshole mode.
Asshole. Good job, man. Anyway, so Battletoads brought Rareware to the public's eye, and they're like, wow, these guys can make a game. So eventually they got funded when the Super Nintendo came out, and when you mention Rare and Super Nintendo, you know what comes with that, Donkey Kong Country.
Hell yes.
That game is amazing! God! This makes my dick rock hard.
Okay.
But anyway, so around 1990, when the Super Nintendo was released, Rare brought Donkey Kong Country to the public's eye. One of the best platformers of the Super Nintendo by far. To me, Donkey Kong Country games are all awesome, but I think they all tag along. Well, they're all tied with Yoshi's Island and Super Mario World. Yeah, it definitely has that looming entity above it that basically wears it down.
It's like, what was your favorite game on the Super Nintendo? Super Mario World,
Yoshi's Island, Link to the Past,
Donkey Kong Country,
Super Metroid. It's just one of those games that always comes up when you talk about the Super Nintendo.
I agree.
But basically, Rare didn't stop at one. They made three. They made a whole trilogy of Donkey Kong Country games. I'm gonna rate them based on my experiences, I'm going to rate them in order. And they also made this, but this wasn't made by Rare, so get that shit out of here.
It's hard as hell, too.
It's hard as hell. But I'm going to rate the Donkey Kong Country games in from most favorite to least favorite. 2, 1, 3.
I agree. Same here.
So basically, Donkey Kong Country 1 was a great start. It's an amazing game, but it definitely was missing something. It was definitely lacking a certain element that could, you know, make it one of the greatest platformers of all time. Donkey Kong Country 2, perfect.
I agree.
Definitely perfect. And then Donkey Kong Country 3 is definitely the worst.
Still awesome, though.
It's still an awesome game, but it's definitely the...
Definitely the least best.
It's definitely the most lacking in the series. So what about you?
Well, definitely Donkey Kong Country 2 is the one that I love the most. I didn't really play the third one that much, but I can definitely say I enjoyed 1 and 2 more than that.
You know what I don't like about the third one? The fact that they got rid of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. They got rid of the 2 main Kongs.
It's like
and Dixie isn't bad. I actually like to play as Dixie, but Kiddy Kong is just fucking awful.
I hate
He's like a slower, clunkier version of Donkey Kong, who was slow and clunky to begin with.
True.
So overall, the Donkey Kong Country series, your thoughts?
Oh man, definitely one of the classic games you want to pick up. Or if you have a Wii, you can get them on Virtual Console. Or if you're cheap, you can just get them on an emulator.
Guilty.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I played all 3 on emulators. I don't know if this will be uploaded this week. So eventually, I will be playing Donkey Kong Country on the Bearded Gaming Network. I have 4 episodes already recorded, so expect that in a couple weeks. I got to get through all the Crash Bandicoot footage first.
Crash Bandicoot.
So after the Super Nintendo, Rare moved on. They made some other Super Nintendo games like Killer Instinct. They made a few other ones, but you know they weren't to the level that Donkey Kong Country was.
They were enjoyable.
They were enjoyable, but
like
Killer
Instinct on the Super Nintendo is definitely one of the best arcade ports.
One of the best arcade ports, definitely. But see, I'm gonna reference another YouTuber, JonTron. I don't know if you know him.
I'm aware of him.
Okay, JonTron. He's a great reviewer. He's funny as hell. He brought up a great point. Back in the day, Rare was like the Beatles of video games. It seems like every genre they conquered, they set the bar while they were at it. So it's like they made one of the best platformers, one of the best beat-em-ups, one of the best fighting games.
Shooting.
One of the best... We'll get to that. So, every genre they tackled, they just seemed to be the best at it. And then eventually, the N64 era was upon us. Anyone who brings up N64 and Rare knows the era we're talking about. We're talking about Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye 007, Killer Instinct Gold, Diddy Kong Racing. So many good games. Oh my god. Okay, so let's discuss the N64 era a little bit. What's your favorite Rare game from the N64?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt, GoldenEye 007. That is a game I logged so many hours on when I was about... pretty much I've been playing that game since I was 6, and I played it forever. I just loved it. I think me and my brother still semi-hate each other to this day because of multiplayer mode.
And then there was this, the remake, which once
is
again
okay.
Isn't made by Rare. Get shit out of here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm throwing games.
It's all right. It was okay, but you can't.
No one can beat Rare.
You can't recapture the old days.
No,
that's just a fact of life.
It's like the spark is gone. The fire has been put out. The magic is just gone.
Here.
But okay, so GoldenEye 007 is your favorite Rare game for the N64.
Without a doubt. Banjo-Kazooie, I did play the shit out of again when I was a kid. Never played Banjo-Tooie.
Really?
Unfortunately.
Oh man, you missed out, dude.
Tell me about it.
Jeez. Okay, when it comes to Banjo-Kazooie, I played through both of them. I had the original as a kid on the N64, and I played through that amazing game. And then in the last year or so, I got Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox Live, the HD port. Which I don't know which one's my favorite, because like Banjo-Kazooie 1, I feel like I know everyone says that Banjo-Tooie is better in every way, but I feel like the graphics are better, the gameplay is a little smoother. I like the worlds better in Banjo, the original. It just seemed to have a better flow than the second one, because the second one is so gigantic you can easily get lost. And it's like Banjo-Tooie, while it was large, it seemed to like
You knew where you were.
You knew where you were, but it's like the world was so large you could easily get lost in it, which made it hard to find jiggies. But Banjo-Kazooie, while it was still large, while it was still a big game, it definitely had a better flow where it was like, okay, we're going to give you this playground, go at it. And Banjo 2 was like, we're going to give you this playground, but then there's going to be shortcuts to other playgrounds, and there's going to be little mini playgrounds inside these giant ones, and it was just...
It was confusing.
So, I played through Banjo-Tooie on the N64 when I was a kid. I just recently played through Banjo-Kazooie on Xbox Live Arcade. I'm going to have to say right now, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but right now, my favorite is the original. I know you haven't played Tooie, so you can't say.
I shouldn't be commenting, you're right. If my brother ever comes back from Toronto and he brings the N64 back, I'll definitely see if I can order Tooie offline.
So I'm going to say right now Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite, but I do have some very fond memories of Banjo-Tooie. I'm playing through it again because I also have the Xbox Live version, so I'll have to wait and see.
Now, let's bring up another topic. What do you think of the recent game, Nuts and Bolts?
No, we're not. No, just don't even.
It's good for the nostalgia for like the first 10 minutes of the game, then after that, it just kind of...
We'll get to that in the eventual downfall. Okay, so your favorite N64 Rare game is GoldenEye.
Without a doubt.
I'd have to say mine is either Kazooie or Banjo-Kazooie or Conker's Bad Fur Day.
It all depends on what you had when you were a kid and what you played the most when you were a kid. Like, I played the shit out of GoldenEye 007 and Banjo-Kazooie, so...
I definitely did not play Conker's Bad Fur Day as a kid, but...
Oh, God.
That's the thing that amazes me about Rare, though. It's they could take one of their most innocent, child-friendly, cartoony characters and turn him into a total smart-ass alcoholic.
Oh, my God.
It was amazing! It was like, when I saw the transition that they made with Conker, it reminded me a lot of Naughty Dog and Jak and Daxter. Okay. Where it's like, the original Jak and Daxter was like very cartoony, very kid-friendly, and then they went to Jak 2 and it went more mature with guns and swearing and tits. But... Anyway. But it's like... That just amazes me about Rareware. It's like, they can do anything with any character and it can still be an amazing game.
Easily.
I mean, Conker's Bad Fur Day is one of the most controversial games ever created. It's definitely one of the most underrated.
Unfortunately, and even when they re-released it for the Xbox, what was it, Live and Reloaded?
Live and Reloaded, that was definitely...
Even then, it still didn't get the attention it deserved.
We'll get to that. But Conker's Bad Fur Day, amazing game. I'm about halfway through it right now. I will be eventually playing it on the channel, but we'll just have to wait and see. So there were definitely some amazing games that were made in the N64 days. Banjo-Kazooie, which we talked about. Conker, GoldenEye, Killer Instinct Gold, the sequel to the original Killer Instinct. Perfect Dark, which I haven't played actually.
I think we had that, but that was one of the games I never played.
Yeah, I never played it, so I can't really judge it. Donkey Kong 64, definitely one of the best 3D platformers ever made. Have you played it?
Yes, I have, at a friend's house once, and from when I played, I was like, oh, this is awesome! I can't believe it. But then again, when I was playing it, GameCube was already in its heyday, and if it had a heyday, and it was kind of hard to get N64 games.
You know what amazes me? Is Banjo-Kazooie came out in 1998. Donkey Kong 64 was in between Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. So Donkey Kong 64 was 1999, and then Banjo-Tooie came out in 2000. So it was like 3 years in a row they had amazing platformers.
Good for them.
Exactly. So...
I wish Infinity Ward could do the same, but that's another story.
Stupid Call of Duty games. Stupid Call of Duty. Okay.
But let's not taint a good thing here.
Okay. So, the N64 era is definitely the best years they've ever had.
And that's what we grew up playing. Like, we were born in the 90s. We grew up playing that pretty much toward the end of the N64's lifespan.
It was just like the N64 Rare games. It's just one of those eras where it's like you think back to 3D platformers like N64, PS1. You think Crash Bandicoot. You think Spyro. You think Banjo-Kazooie. It's just, and again, it's like one of those games that just it always comes up in discussion when you're discussing the console.
Exactly.
It's like, and it's not just one game. It's several amazing platformers.
It's funny, the N64, I think in North America, only about 250 games were released for it, but many of them were top-notch.
Actually, I think it was more around 300.
Around there. The sources vary, but N64, Very few less games for it compared to the PlayStation, but so many good games.
So many good games. I actually think, in my opinion, I actually enjoyed Banjo-Kazooie more than Mario 64.
That's debatable. I definitely...
That's a respectable opinion, but
you know
that'll definitely get me some flack from hardcore Mario guys.
Even though I love both games, I definitely did log a few more hours in Banjo-Kazooie than I did Mario 64.
But see, the thing about Banjo-Kazooie... This is another thing that amazes me about Rare. I look back at all of their games. They made some lengthy games back in their day. I mean, you look at Battletoads, it's like, oh, it's a beat-em-up, it won't take me more than a few hours. That game is 8 hours long.
For an NES game.
Not a lot of people know that. Battletoads is actually 8 hours long, so it's like...
Which is like 20 hours if you die a lot, but...
So you think about it, even back in the NES days, they made some long-lasting games. Sure, the Donkey Kong Country games are a lot shorter. Each title can take you anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, so it's not that long.
How's that?
I don't know. I'll cut that out. But, then you look at the N64 days. They have Banjo-Kazooie. They have Donkey Kong 64. They have Conker. They have so many lengthy games. I mean, my recent playthrough of Banjo-Kazooie clocked in at 13 hours.
Really?
And so far, I'm about 7 hours into Banjo-Tooie, and I only have about 30 jiggies.
Really?
So it's really lengthy games. And then I looked up online because I got into Donkey Kong 64. I'm like, oh, I wonder how long this is going to take me. 30 hours for the main game.
Oh, God.
Think about that! Modern game developers can't even make their games that long.
No, like, a recent game, the campaign on Battlefield 3 is...
It's 4 hours.
Not even 3 hours.
Yeah. So it's like, you think about it, today, modern game developers, they just make such short games, but then they put multiplayer in to make it everlasting.
There are exceptions, like Skyrim, Rockstar's games.
The Grand Theft Auto games, Fallout. There are some exceptions in today's era.
A big problem I have with games today is that they're too short.
They're too short.
And they're too easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, at least they give you the option to select what difficulty you want.
True. So it's like, I really think that modern game developers should look back at the older era and be like, wow, we need to step up our game. We need to start making longer titles.
We need to look back to the older era for a lot of things.
So you look at today. Modern Warfare 3. 6.2 million copies sold in its first night. One of the most popular games of all time. Campaign's 4 hours.
Yeah.
Campaign's 4 hours long, but they put multiplayer on it to make it an everlasting game. That's another thing I've seen about modern game developers. They make such a short single-player campaign, but they tack on multiplayer just to make their game longer.
Like, not everybody likes multiplayer.
No, not everyone is multiplayer.
Even though it doesn't seem like it. Like, I don't play multiplayer. I know you do, but
yeah, I do quite a bit, but it's like you look at a game like that's like so popular right now, and it's only 4 hours long, and then you look back at the day to the old Rare, like Donkey Kong 64, 30 hours for the main game. Just to beat it, it's 30 hours. That's amazing.
I know, and I just want to point out something that's bullshit. When Mario Kart 7 came out, Game Informer gave it a 7.5 for not changing anything, but when Modern Warfare 3 came out, they gave it a 9.5. Facepalm.
I'm going to mention this one thing. I think I mentioned in an old KGTS podcast, the Battlefield versus COD one. IGN.
Oh,
okay.
Fuck.
Okay, hear me out. I'm going to bring up IGN.
Fuck.
And this isn't related to Rare. We're going to kind of getting off topic. But I'm just going to mention this, and then we're going to get back to Rare. So...
They fucking suck!
It's okay. So, IGN. Modern Warfare 3. They rate it a 9. Shadow of the Colossus. They rate a 7.5.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's the kicker, though.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy. The IGN rates Shadow of the Colossus a 7.5 for being too much like other games. Yet they give Modern Warfare 3 a 9 for... This is their words. For being original and adding to the Call of Duty formula.
It ain't changed shit from Modern Warfare 2! I need a minute to myself. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll take over. This is the thing. He's just going nuts in the background. I'm sorry, but this is the thing that amazes me about modern game developers. Yo, calm down. This is the thing that amazes me about modern game developers. Is like they make these games that this game is shit. No one cares about it. Yet, reviewers praise it so much.
You're picking those up, by the way.
I know. Yeah, it's the same game every year, and reviewers today just, like, jerk off to every single release.
Shane,
Yeah, it's the same game, and yet you look back at Rare's old titles, and they're fucking masterpieces. Why can't modern game developers be like the old Rare?
Shane, you know what the problem is?
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure that the game companies pay these reviewers to give them good...
Yeah, that's another thing. They probably...
It's like having sex with your teacher to give a good mark. What?
They probably get bribed. Anyway, dude, get back in here.
Story of my life.
I know, right?
What the fuck?
Anyway, we're gonna get back on topic. I'm sorry for that little rage outburst. But anyway, you look at the old Rare, the N64 are truly some of the best years in video game history. And then in 2002, Microsoft bought Rare. And that's where things started going downhill. Actually, it started before that in 2001 when they made a little GameCube game called Star Fox Adventures.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Which basically took everything that made Star Fox, threw it out the window, and made a Zelda clone.
Those games do not work.
Nope. So, in 2002, Microsoft bought Rare, and they made a few titles. They made Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which I really haven't heard a lot of.
No,
They made Perfect Dark Zero, which I heard was an unfaithful sequel.
Yeah.
And then there's just the magnum opus of the Xbox Rare era. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
No! Okay, let's go back. 2006. It's been 6 years since Banjo-Tooie was released. Then all of a sudden, Rare, owned by Microsoft now, releases a teaser trailer for a new Banjo game. All the Banjo fans are going nuts. They're like, oh my god, they're finally making a new one.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Exactly. So they're like, oh my god, Rare is making a new Banjo game. My life is complete. So, you look at the teaser trailer, nothing like the actual game.
Yeah.
Sure, that's the thing about teaser trailers. They're usually nothing like the actual game, but that trailer is so misleading. It looks like it's a true platforming sequel to Banjo-Tooie, and it's not.
All you do is fuck around in vehicles. How could they fuck up something that worked so well?
Basically, basically, this is the thing I've learned about the new Rare. Basically, when they try to go back to an old series, they take what made that series great, they throw it out the window, and they fuck it all up.
Exactly. Like, the platforming works so well in Banjo 1 and 2. Like, what the fuck was going through their minds? Like, oh, it worked so well in the last games. Let's change it and make it all vehicles. What the fuck were they thinking?
It is really true. I mean, you look back at Banjo-Tooie, considered one of the greatest platformers of all time. And 8 years later, we finally get a new Banjo game for these guys. And it's a fucking car simulator.
There's a reason why fanboys are, like... I think the problem is that fanboys are so devoted to what they love, but when something you love is fucked up, you're mad.
I mean, when something you grew up with is completely ruined in the modern era, you're gonna go kind of nuts. Whether you're a fanboy or not, this is something you grew up with, and the company is taking that and fucking burning it.
It's like when Toy Story 3 came out. I watched the first two to death when I was a kid, and I was not disappointed at all when the third one came out. It was awesome. They kept the style, and that's why it was so good.
See, that's actually a good comparison. You compare Rare to Pixar. Rare, back in the day, made some of the greatest video games of all time. Pixar, nowadays, is still making some of the greatest animated movies of all time. Rare, eventually, when it came into the modern era, started fucking things up, but the modern Pixar is actually doing better and better.
It's embracing it.
It's embracing its classic franchises, and it's bringing them back.
It's because I think now, with all the nostalgia, like with everything on YouTube these days, companies are starting to realize that people want the old shit. And that's why, like, Nickelodeon, they have the old Nick. I'm still seeing the old Disney cartoons on Disney.
Old Cartoon Network just came to Canada, too.
Yeah.
But see, that's a good comparison. See, Rare, when they try to bring their old franchises back, they try to do something new that completely fucks the franchise up. Yet Pixar, with their movie franchises, when they bring it back, they embrace the old material and they actually expand upon it and make it even better. Like, Monsters University. That's gonna be fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you look at that, it's like, the original Monsters, Inc. was such an amazing movie, and I kept thinking to myself over the years, why have they not made a sequel to this? And then I finally saw the trailer for Monsters University, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I love you, Pixar.
They're the family I never had.
So it's like, that amazes me how a company like Rare can make such great games back in the day, yet when they come into the modern era, they fuck everything up. Yet Pixar just keeps getting better and better as time goes on.
It depends on who's behind the main team, I guess.
Actually, I heard that once they went to Microsoft, the founder of the company left. So that might be a factor in, but that doesn't explain why your games have turned to shit. Like, the creativity is still there, and like there are so many like great minds. It's like Nintendo. Rare is like kind of like Nintendo, where it's like they have so many creative people and they have such creative ideas that if you bring an old franchise back to fruition, it should be an amazing experience. But when you add an element that has nothing to do with the original games, you fuck everything up.
It's like if they made the next Mario game a first-person shooter.
Super Mario FPS.
I'd play that.
But it's like, and another, this is another comparison I have. Nintendo with the modern Mario games. Now, you look back in the day, Mario, some of the greatest platforming games ever made. Mario 1, Lost Levels, I'm not counting this American... Doki Doki Panic, I'm not counting that.
Let's not get into that.
Okay. Mario 3, Mario World, Yoshi's Island.
Mario 64.
Mario Sunshine, which people still pan. I don't understand.
I love that game.
Mario Galaxy, Mario Galaxy 2.
Super Mario 3D Land, New Super Mario Brothers.
Actually, that's what I'm getting into. Because, I don't know if you've actually thought about this, but when you come to think of it, the new Nintendo is kind of like the new Rare. Because when you think about it, like, the original New Super Mario Brothers, it was the first time a Mario game, like, an original Mario game, has been on a handheld in so many years.
Since 1992.
Exactly. So it's like New Super Mario Bros. Is the first Mario handheld game in over a decade. And it's like, it was an amazing game.
It was.
And it was like, it brought new elements into the series that made it feel fresh. But then, here's what I'm going to get at. It's like the new Rare, where they take the franchise that they've basically brought back to life, and they say, we're going to take this, and we're going to make a new game in this new series for our console, but we're not going to change anything. It's the exact same game.
Exactly.
And that's why I compare Nintendo today with the Mario games they're releasing to the new Rare. It's like they're taking their old franchises for granted. They're doing nothing to expand upon the formula, and it's basically it's getting worse, I honestly think. Because 2009, New Super Mario Bros. 3, exact same game. New Super Mario Bros. 2, I don't get the whole coin thing, though.
Why?
Like, other than that, exact same game. New Super Mario Bros. U, exact same game.
It's like 4 of the same... What is it? Yeah, 4 of the same game.
Mm-hmm. Basically, for the last 7 years, the New Super Mario Bros. Games have been the exact same game. Just anyone who plans on buying New Super Mario Bros. You just don't. You already... I assume you already have the one for the Wii. Just play that. It's the exact same thing.
It's no different than the DS version.
I'm not... Nintendo will redeem themselves once they announce a new Mario 3D game.
Oh,
Once they announce a new 3D Mario platformer for the Wii U, I'm fine. But right now, I'm labeling Nintendo as, like, similar to the new Rare. Because they're taking their franchise, they're not fucking it up necessarily, they are good games, but they're doing nothing to make the series new.
Exactly.
It's called New Super Mario Brothers, and it's the exact same game over and over again.
It's like, whenever they release a new Mario 3D game, they always do something to expand upon it. Like Super Mario 64.
Mario 64 was revolutionary.
3D, camera, rotating camera. Sunshine was...
Sunshine is actually...
water.
Yeah, Sunshine, they brought in the Flood Pack, which... It was a great new mechanic. I actually really enjoyed it, but people seem... That's the thing I don't get about the video game community also. They bitch so much that games are so similar nowadays, and yet when something new comes into a classic franchise, it's too far away from the original. Go back. And yet you bitch that it's nothing new.
You know what? Just like Call of Duty.
Exactly.
Nick's little off-screen cameo there. You know what? People just love to bitch about things. That's just a fact of life.
So I'm labeling Nintendo for now until they release a new 3D Mario game for the Wii U as the new Rare. Because 4 games in a row, it's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
So that's basically it. So overall, your thoughts on Rare?
Get your fucking shit together.
Oh, another thing I want to mention. I really don't think that the old Rare is coming back ever again because they're doing Kinect Sports now. They did Kinect Sports at the launch of the Kinect. They're doing Kinect Sports Season 2, which comes out this year. They're just doing Kinect Sports games now.
You know what's sad? The Kinect has sold more units than the Dreamcast.
Oh my god. I fucking hate the world. I'm sorry, but I hate the world.
You know what? I think we should just kill ourselves right now.
Yeah.
It'd be easier.
So anyway, your thoughts on Rare?
Get your fucking shit together. Rare, if anybody from Rare is watching this, which I doubt it, but you never know, get your fucking shit together. That's all I have to say. Come on. You have a whole loyal fan base that loved your games in the 90s, and you're losing them to Call of Duty. There. That should make you change. That's all I gotta say.
My thoughts on Rare. Back in the day, you were so amazing. You gave me so many great games. But once you went to Microsoft, you just went down the shitter so fast.
Sounds like a bad breakup.
Nah. But anyway, Rare back in the day, so great. Nowadays, I just want to go back to the 90s.
True story, bro.
But it's like
here, fucking here.
Before we cut this off, another thing I noticed about Rare is lately they've been re-releasing their old games.
Which is a good thing.
They've been re-releasing their old games on Live Arcade, like Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark. It's like if they keep that up and notice that the sale if they notice that the sales of their old games that they're porting to the Live Arcade outsell their new games, maybe they'll get their heads together.
Let's hope.
Maybe they'll get their shit together and go back to making amazing games.
I don't know. Since the video game industry seems to be very financially based these days, we'll see.
We'll see. But like I mentioned, they re-release Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark on Xbox Live Arcade. I hope that they re-release Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Let's hope.
On Live Arcade.
Let's hope.
Rare, I don't know if anyone from Rare is watching, probably not, but if you re-release Conker's Bad Fur Day on Live Arcade, that's an instant buy for me. I don't give a shit. I am buying that. And I do not count Live and Reloaded, okay? I do not count that. Unless you release an Xbox Originals, then I'll buy it. But even then, that's like they censor everything in that port.
Yeah.
It's just, if you want to play Conker's Bad Fur Day, play the original N64 version. It's so much better.
Exactly.
So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this 20-30 minutes or so of us ranting about an old video game company that is shit now.
And I gotta turn on the fucking air conditioner because it's hot up here.
Yeah, we're gonna die up here. So that's it for this episode of the Bearded Banter Gaming Podcast. I am the Bearded One.
I'm Riley.
And we'll see you next time. Keep on gaming.